Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another live project Zainab program on Tuesday. We've been away for a couple of weeks, but we have had the blessings of our Wednesday lecture with Sheikh Hamza Sodagar, and I just wanted to say to everybody, congratulations on the birth of Lady Fatima Zahra Assalamu alaiha, the Lady of Heaven, the beauty, the personification of beauty, and the leader of the Ahlul Bayt. Just wanted to say a big welcome to two special ladies that have come, who are speaking with me from America. Sister Jamila Al-Karnain and Sister Karema Al-Haq, and it's an absolute honor to have you ladies, beautiful ladies from America, and it seems like the distance is ever closer now because we're all live. We used to be far away with distance and everybody was hanging out on airplanes and moving from across the world in that space. It seems like there's no need for that anymore. But anyway, to all the audience, to all the viewers, welcome back to Project Zainab Live. We will be continuing our Tuesday projects every Tuesday, and inshallah we're looking forward to wonderful topics that are coming your way. We've had a brother from Nigeria, we've had sisters from America, we've had Sheikh Hamza that's regular on our Wednesday Project Zainab Live every week, discussing the akhlaq in the Quran, and that's been very beneficial to all of us. I also want to say a big thank you to everyone who has been able to tune in, and if you're not able to do so, you can catch up with us through YouTube because we're on the Project Zainab channel. So inshallah, all of these recordings will be accessible to you whenever you feel that you have time to actually listen in. For those who have tuned in, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, sisters, Sister Karema and Sister Jamila, I know you guys from Facebook as if I've known you all my life. Extremely special ladies. So it's an absolute honor for us to have you. Just wanted to ask you, how does Lady Fatima Zahra Assalamu alaiha inspire you? So if I can ask Sister Jamila first.
I think that she inspires me to try to be the best Muslim that I can be, and to be cognizant of my behavior and what I do, and make sure that it's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, it's great to have a person that's so perfect as a role model to try to, reach those heights.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody that we all inspire to be. Sister Karema, how about you?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. So for me, Lady Fatima inspires me to be the best mother, the best wife, the best scholar. She was by far the best daughter. My father has passed since, but alhamdulillah, just the best that you can be, really. As my sister said, we try to emulate her to the best of our abilities, but she touches our soul with her struggle and with her life, and even with her passing. Everything that she did was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the mission of her father, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I think in knowing that, we have the best example, and we tried our best to live up to those standards.
Yeah, absolutely. We also find that there are a lot of people who feel that Lady Fatima Zahra Assalamu alaiha is the peak of beauty in her manifestations as a being, a female being. But we lack so much of her characteristics, and I see across the globe that we strive to become like her, but then there are so many values and principles that she laid forward, and that we find extremely hard to kind of emulate those or behave in such manners. Having said that, we will move on to discussing your projects, and I was enlightened. I was totally enlightened and taken aback, as it were, with some of the books that were coming out from your end in respect of phonetics and things that you ladies have been doing. And for me, you know, that is some way behaving in the ways of that we've been taught by the Elul to kind of spread the knowledge across not just the local community but the global community. And you guys, you ladies, have done some fantastic work. Would you like to talk about that?
I think the question was, what did we try to create, or what have we created with Islamic phonics readers? So to the best of our abilities, we tried to create something that, number one, was definitely not there for us as we were growing up as Muslims, and wasn't there for us when we were homeschooling our children. Really, when I grew up, there were no books for Muslim children. I would always boggle at the illustrated Bibles that I would see in the library and in the bookstores and just say, wow, you know, I may have been all about 6 or 7, but was always wondering why there wasn't that type of book for Muslim children. And so fast forwarding to when we started educating our own children, because Jamila and I both homeschooled, we would pick up books, you know, phonics books from the stores and from the libraries, and they would be secular. I think our favorite book was Abeka, and they actually had a complete line of books to teach the children how to read, from the very basics all the way up to, you know, cognitively reading on a fluent level. So Abeka, as some people may not know, is a Christian-based reader. And of course, you know, we would have to explain everything to the children, you know, what part we believed and what parts we didn't believe. And it served its purpose. Our children, alhamdulillah, for the most part, you know, they all read very early on and read well. But in the back of our minds, it's kind of like, yeah, this would have really been awesome if this had been from an Islamic perspective. And so that's when we kind of put our heads together and said, you know, we need to try to do this, because I'm sure there are plenty of parents out there educating their children thinking the same thing. Like, why don't we have any materials for our children to teach them how to read, but at the same time, bringing them into the morals and ethics and the beliefs of Islam? So that was the idea behind Islamic Phonics Reader Series.
Yeah, feel free to jump in, Sister Jamila.
Oh, my sister's doing a great job.
Oh, no, you power of 2. I have to speak to the power of 2. You guys are amazing, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. So yeah, that's it for on my end. I think Jamila might be able to explain a little bit more.
I mean, she pretty much said it all. I mean, that's really how it went down. And we came together and started writing. You know, we divided up the sounds, and we each wrote stories, and then we had it illustrated. And then my sister was like, wait a minute, this one is too advanced. We need to create 2 books before this level. So we had to go back and write those books. And originally it was only 7 books, and then it turned out to be 9. And now it's probably going to be more than that, because I'm realizing that we need intermediate readers in between those books. So, you know, it's just been an awesome journey. I mean, I learned so much through writing these books. I learned how, I learned to fall in love with the process of creating a product, or just doing anything is a process, and that you have to have a tremendous amount of patience, because there's always one more thing, one more problem, or I forgot this, or we're about to launch. And, you know, it just takes so much fortitude. And I think that's why a lot of people quit. You know, you always hear people talk about, you know, the amount of people that give up before they reach the finish line, because it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen in between there. My sister's father passed away. My father passed away. I kept having babies every 2 years. So every time something happened, it would kind of be a setback, but we just can't. I mean, we've been working on these books for like 15 years.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it must have taken you quite a long time to actually, put this all into practice.
Right.
And now they're actually now available worldwide, or is it just specifically in the US, or are you marketing outside the States?
Well, they're not all available. We've published 2, and we're about to publish the 3rd one. Although all 9 of the main readers have been written, they haven't all been published. So we're going to be working on that. And I believe that, Karema, we're making them available to the UK and Canada right now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But not all around the world. We're still trying to work out, the kinks with shipping, especially right now with COVID. I did make an exception for a friend of mine that lives in Australia, and I think it took her over a month to get those books, but she was really patient about that. So I think we're going to hold off on the worldwide shipping for now, but we will ship to like the UK and Canada.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'd love to have them here. And obviously, if, give us a shout if there's anything we can possibly do from our end. I'm sure Project Zena would love to be a part of that. But what is the storyline in those stories? I mean, how does it cater for the younger, say, for example, 3, how have you divided the age groups?
Well, Adam the Zamzam is just the basic ABC reader, and you could read that to a baby. I read it to my little daughter, Mecca. I've read it to my younger children. And it's basically just learning the ABCs using Islamic words and some words that aren't Islamic, and lots of colorful images of people from all different races and backgrounds. And, it's very well put together. And I think parents and kids appreciate that we didn't skimp on the quality and we didn't skimp on the editing. I mean, we've edited these books and edited and re-edited. So alhamdulillah, we're really about perfection. I'd rather put nothing out if it's not perfect. That's just, our motto. So, and it's in rhyme. And I have a very Dr. Seussy style of writing, which I think is appealing to adults and kids. I'm still a big Dr. Seuss fan. And so I think that's something that's unique, because a lot of times you'll find readers, because you're confined to such a small list of vocabulary words, but they can be very dry and boring. But we put a lot of energy into rhyming the stories. Sometimes it would take me an hour or 2 just to write a couple lines, just really perfecting that. So we poured a lot into that, and I think that's something that makes us stand out. Also, the things that we write about are unique. Like we write about entrepreneurship and family. That's very important. Later on in some of the I think it's the last book, we start writing about the prophets and Khadija alayhi Islam, and the Queen of Sheba. So we have women in there. So just a large variety of topics that maybe you wouldn't see in a regular reader, and a unique style, and very beautiful illustrations. We were lucky to have our children to illustrate some of the books, and I found another really wonderful illustrator to help out with that. So yeah, alhamdulillah, just
That's
came
good.
together.
I was just going to ask you about you illustrating. How well does that appeal to the younger generation?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How well does the animation appeal to the younger generation?
I mean, so far so good. We've only had 2 out. We haven't had a lot of complaints. It seems like everybody loves it. So
you're getting good reviews.
Very good reviews.
Yeah. That's
we
good.
Haven't had people complaining.
That's good, mashallah. I was just having that kind of discussion with a brother, a group that I'm on, and we were thinking about looking at animation. Would that be something that you might be interested in, having animation? Because the reason why I was actually thinking about that was because I wanted to kind of change the narrative in relation to what's actually going out there media-wise. to our younger generation. And I feel that we as Muslims have kind of been laid back in the past, and it hasn't come over to the younger people, and that's why they're so glued to the Western TV that they've actually literally forgotten their faith in that respect.
I agree, and there is some illustrations that's out there, but I've honestly got very frustrated with it. For one thing, some of it's a little different coming from our Sunni brothers and sisters, but besides that, you'll notice that if you see a Black person on these cartoons, that they're the bad guy, you know, the villain.
That's how they've been depicted.
Yes, and I'm kind of like, I don't even want to watch it. You know what I mean? Like, I used to let my kids watch it.
It's extremely unfair. It's extremely unfair. And I thought we were in this kind of climate that we'd be past that, at least, where people can be honest that, you know, the color reference has to be, you know, means something to everybody. And if you're going to give that kind of narrative to people, they will follow it, and then they won't hold, you know, they won't think that the color of skin, for some it won't matter, but for some it does hold some value, because if that's the mindset that's going to be conditioned, it's not something that I would like prefer. And especially we heard with some of the other new films that are coming out, and they're using the Black skin as something to depict something horrible or mean or you know, something villainous, which
right.
we will get.
I feel that some of it is just ignorance. I mean, giving people the benefit of the doubt, you know, it's just embedded in the culture. And I feel like maybe they don't, you know, some people don't even realize that's what they're doing. It's just what's always been done. So, you know, I would love to see, it would be refreshing to see some cartoons that depict not just African Americans, but Hispanics, Asians, Black, white, you know, an array of colors, brotherhood and sisterhood, that our kids and us can relate to. You know, that would be awesome. So I don't think I could be. I have a lot of ideas, but I don't think I could be on that team. I mean, we've already got our hands full. But yeah, I would love to see that happen. Inshallah.
Yeah. I also know that you've been doing, you've promoted homeschooling, and that is something that we've been trying to get into the heads of a lot of people here in the UK as well, given the fact that the school curriculum is changing fast, and it is kind of projecting, you know, SRE and things like that, which is sexual relationships a lot more, but it will kind of cover all grounds, and which we as Muslims, you know, have been protesting about for the last couple of years. And it's been anything that we've had to say, even in consultations, has been falling on deaf ears, because we know that the industry is vast. There's a lot of money going into that industry. So I feel that's really unfair that, you know, if the Jewish community speak against it, then it's heard. But if the Muslim community speak against the same, then it's not heard. And it's not taken as, you know, anything credible. So, you know, do you have problems like that in the schools out there? And what was the main reasons behind why you thought homeschooling was necessary?
Okay, so for me, you know, both me and my sister were born into the religion. Like our parents were Muslim, and I really lost my deen in the public school system. You know, it was hard for me, and I wasn't wearing my hijab, wasn't practicing, and you know, at some point, I think I was like about to be a freshman. My sister kind of helped me get myself back together and slowly got back on the path. Between her and my uncle and the family members. But I really didn't want my kids to go through that. Like it was super important and still is super important for my kids to stay on their deen. And being in a school situation where you are being inundated with un-Islamic concepts and all sorts of distractions and temptations is very hard for an adult, let alone a child.
Yeah.
So at the time, the only option, it's back in 1995, the only option for me to avoid that was to homeschool. Now, homeschooling is definitely not easy, not for me, and I'm sure probably not for a lot of people. What I've found is that homeschooling is good for some people, but I think what is even better is coming together and having a co-op or some kind of Islamic schools that is inclusive and not going with the status quo, the kind of school that we're used to that kills your thirst for knowledge and have kids crying because they don't want to go, more like maybe Montessori or something like that. I think that is a better option because sometimes as homeschooling, you get burnt out. A lot of people that started out homeschooling are no longer homeschooling because sometimes you end up stuck in the house doing it by yourself. Kids want to be around other kids. That's another. So I'm just naming, there's a lot of pluses, but there are some things that make it difficult. But I don't want to paint a bad picture either. I mean, my kids, they got to go to a homeschool, a learning center where they got to hang out with other kids. And so they got some socialization in with that. And my sister and my aunt and I, we came together and helped teach the kids different subjects. So that was helpful. So it's really important if you're going to homeschool to try to find some other folks to do it together so that the kids can get with other kids because kids are always going to want to be around other kids. So those are important things. So I think homeschooling is a great thing if you're able to do it. And if you have a good support system and you're not just off somewhere in the woods doing it by yourself. But it's also important, Islam, I interviewed this sister and she said something that hit home. She said, Islam is not an individualistic religion. It's not designed for everybody to go in their own little pocket. We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to be praying together. Teaching together, doing all these things together. And sometimes with homeschooling, especially for some of us that are not, what's the word? Folks that don't, they're more to themselves.
Introverted.
Introverted folks. It can kind of be that excuse we need to kind of just go on in our little corners, but we don't thrive like that as a community. So I still, stand by homeschooling, but now I try to promote coming together and doing it as a group as much as possible. And I think that a lot of people are very comfortable with their kids going to school, and that works for some people. It doesn't mean, just because your kids go to school doesn't mean they're going to become a Kafir. But a whole lot of us struggle. And I don't know, I worry. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm the only person that's like, hey, this is crazy. What are we doing? And everybody's like, why are you tripping? So yeah, I would say that it's for a lot of people, it seems to not be a big concern for them, but it's concerning for me. And I think as times go on, it's going to get worse, especially with these kids with these phones. They're being exposed to a lot.
Yeah, a conversation just came to light just literally a few minutes ago, and I opened up Facebook to hear this. But we have ads here in the UK, and it's so and it was so ironic, the fact that the sister wrote about her younger grandson using a certain language. Okay. And I've just I came across a commercial on television yesterday, and it's about KFC, the chicken. Yeah, KFC chicken. And they've got this massive deal on, or some bargain or something, and it's on some kind of real, value thing. So they've shown characters where the female actually is so excited, all of a sudden says, "What the?" And they've bleeped out the, but that means it's okay. They want to start normalizing that now. And what are we supposed to do? Just sit down and start adapting to it? Because, okay, you know, it's coming in, it's on the media, everybody's using it, so it should be okay. And a lot of people and a lot of children would actually turn around and say, but, you know, how do we get past that? That's, you know, I've been very strict when it comes to, you know, even the F word. I grew up in a school where they said, if you swear, we're going to wash your mouth out with soap. And I actually watched a boy having his mouth washed out with soap. This was in my school days. So, you know, it doesn't matter anymore.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things don't matter anymore. You know, it's okay to be bisexual. It's okay to be homosexual. It's okay to, you know, it's a kind of, if it feels good, do it culture. And, you know, it's always been there, but I think social media is a big influence over people, over our children. And that coupled with them being in a public school, you know, they don't monitor these phones. So you could send your kid to school without a phone, but their friend has one. You know, and we've got 8-year-olds addicted to pornography now. You know, so it's just a lot. It's very worrisome, and I think you know, we need to have more discussions about it, and hopefully, inshallah, from those discussions, we can actually start doing something about it. You know, creating schools and co-ops and communities that will give the kids the support they need to escape the grasp of Shaitan, because he's pulling out the big guns now. He's not playing, and they're way more organized, and we're kind of just sitting on our hands, you know.
Yeah, we were talking about Lady Fatima Zahra Salamu Alayha at the beginning of the program, and recognizing that she was the center point of her household, and you know, her duties and her responsibilities were vast, not just as a wife, but a mother or even a daughter. But she carried out those roles beautifully, and she balanced everything. You know, so where I'm taking this is basically that, have we, you know, positioned ourselves in our households enough that we can actually balance those, because it's not just acrobatics literally, but it's a lot of hard work going into making sure that all our relationships and our roles are in sync.
It's a constant.
Yeah.
I'll let Sister Karema speak, because we've been silent for the last.
No, it's a constant struggle, and it's something that's in our conversation very frequently. Just because it's in our conversation doesn't mean it's always perfect or near perfect. The balancing thing is something that you have to be cognizant of, I believe, because we will tend to be lopsided. And a lot of times we will tend to be lopsided in the things that we feel are easiest, and we have to balance ourselves out with the things that we may not necessarily be that good at, or that is not easy, but to make sure that we're tending to those things. Because Jamila and I are so busy and we do so many different things, that becomes the constant struggle, at least for myself, to make sure that I'm taking care of home first. But then after home, you have responsibilities to those in your community, those who are in need around you. And that need may be monetary, or it just may be emotional support. So you have to make sure, as introverted as I am, I call myself a functioning introvert. Most people wouldn't know it talking to me, but mostly I go inward. I'm very much an introvert, but I come out to make sure that, you know, sisters are okay. They may need a phone call, a checkup. People may need money. A lot of times there are sisters in our community where someone will organize, okay, this sister needs a meal. She just got sick or got out of the hospital. This sister needs, you know, to get her rent paid. This sister needs whatever. So making sure that that we're active within our local community. But then we also have a responsibility to people on national levels. I try to make sure that that I'm contacting people that may not necessarily live in my city or state, but just how are you doing there, you know? And then I'm constantly a student. I consider myself a student of life, and I love learning new things. Always making sure that first I'm getting to my Islamic studies. and then I'm educating myself about the deen. Whenever I educate myself, I try to reach out and share it with others. So you're just juggling so many things, and then we're entrepreneurs, so I'm always studying something different, just studying real estate. Today I was studying about time management. You know, it's just always something. We're involved in organizations. Just had a meeting yesterday with a few youth groups from the UK yesterday, and we're talking about collaborating with with them from our organization, Islamic Spiritual Awakening. That keeps us plenty busy. So yes, it's always a juggling act, and making sure you're not dropping. It's not that you're not dropping any balls, just making sure you're not dropping too many of them.
But
you
at
know,
least,
and pick them back up. You know, inshallah.
I mean, I felt that through, you know, some of the literature that you posted up, and I'll be absolutely honest and let the viewers know that even though I had come out of kind of bereavement with my mother's issues, I felt that talking about it and not shushing or hushing up the subject of death came to me via your little panel on Facebook, and that really opened up my eyes, because it was called something to the was it the surprise
keep your eye on
keep your eye on the prize. And believe you me, I have literally felt that whole year, just observing and reading and buying, you know, purchasing the books that I was getting the references from, has really helped me come out of some of the deeper grief that I was in. Because, you know, it's very easy to not have some knowledge about a certain aspect of, you know, where do we go from here? And that's how I felt that we were, you know, where do we go after we leave this world, we depart from this world. And yeah, I had, you know, there will be barzakh, and there will be this, and there will be that, and then that's that. But I came to a lot of reckoning through and learning through aspects of what you were posting up, which kind of opened up this whole new world after this life to me, which I was not like aware of in that amount of depth. That really helped me out. So regardless, I mean, I didn't go out for counseling, and I didn't need to go out for this or, you know, speak to anybody in the end, because I felt I was reading enough, and it was like you were speaking to me. And more than you were speaking to me, I felt that Allah was kind of calming me through this whole transitional moment or movements from earth into the life hereafter, just by the wonderful literature that's around that a lot of people would never consider looking at.
Alhamdulillah, I mean, that means a lot, that if it guided one person, then the whole 9 months was worth it. Alhamdulillah, I mean, thank you for letting me know that.
So yeah, that was something I wanted to say, and I managed to get it face to face now. So I'm not saying it to you in a post, and I can't get through people on Messenger anymore. I have no idea why that is the case, but I'm not a liked person. I just listen.
Hey, they're not gonna like any of us.
Yeah, so
we have to like.
This is my third Facebook account, by the way, and I have no idea by which miracle it's actually operating through, because if I try to open up an app called Facebook on my phone or a device, it's not happening. So I just go through Google and it just works. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. So
we'll have to find another platform. We're not going to keep quiet, that's for sure. So
yeah,
we're going to have to get the word out the way we can get it out, you know. And if everything just turns local,
I've kind of made it plain clear that, you know, there's going, you know, they will be met by resistance, and resistance is us. So, but you know, I love the wonderful work that you have been doing, that you all are doing, and it's kind of really important to keep going through, whether it be the Facebook literature or references, or learning about people that are doing so much wonderful work in the community like yourselves. And I felt that inviting you would open up doors for people who want to kind of do their own thing, but even recognize that it's not an impossible thing to do. Having, you know, Islamic phonetic books, or having books per se, or even having animations which kind of change the outlook for a lot of the Muslim children growing up in the West, because I think that is essential. That seems to be something on my mind for a very long time. And I think I will eventually pursue it. I am getting in touch with a lot of the Iranian what have yous, you know, people that do the animations, the artists. So hopefully, you know, we'll be onto something. But it would be great to see that, you know, children can have their own little heroes. It doesn't have to be Spider-Man and Batman and the Joker, or people, or the kind of icons that our children are getting used to seeing, in which even if they are the villains, but they seem to have some kind of heroic value in the eyes of our children. So we need to move from that, because it's a negative, you know, they're giving negative tones, which our children are seeing as positive. And we've seen in the last few years, we've seen words have been changing from what they used to have a proper definition to meaning something else. And it's turned from such, for example, I can give you a word like wicked. That used to be wicked as in evil, wicked kind of thing. But now it's, oh my God, it's wicked. And a lot of the children are seeing wicked as in a good thing. So, you know, we really have to bring down, we have to change the perspective of the way our children are bringing home books, their idea of what is heroism. And I was also contemplating working on something with the martyrs, the Iranian martyrs, or martyrs as in those people who have died for their faith, whether it be via the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, or it be people who have died for the sake of Islamic Republic, but they've had certain positive vibes in their lives before they actually thought about giving up their whole life for the sake of Islam. And I was thinking cartoons, or, you know, what have you, animations and books written on that would be great. But, you know, I know 100% that I've got people to come to if I need to, for help in respect of this, because hopefully, inshallah, you guys are more talented in respect of how you bring about those books and your characters. But I also heard that you are also in a business which involves sarongs to scarves.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it's another one of my ventures that I went on. Alhamdulillah. It's doing good. It's well. Alhamdulillah. I always tell people, and it sounds like a salesperson's thing to say, but I can't sell anything that I don't myself benefit from. So, I mean, I think my auntie introduced these to us like, oh my God, over 20 years ago, that they're usually used, you know, beach cover up, but they also make very good head coverings, very full coverage. I don't like the new hijab that are coming out that you barely are, you know, you're barely covering yourself. This is sufficient coverage for most women. And so it's going pretty good. It's good, alhamdulillah. It's not my main heart right now. It's not my main passion, but I do like the sarongs, and I know a lot of sisters like them. I actually used to sell them a while ago. I stopped and I came back to it, so alhamdulillah. But I have a lot of things that are taking my time, so I'm not always constant on that business. To be honest and truthful.
Is there a particular way of actually you know, applying those or putting them over yourself? Because to me, sarong, does it mean a sarong that is already sewn, or is it not sewn?
No, it's just not even sewn. It's just, I have one on now. I think Jamila does too. So you just really, I don't know how people wrap the what do they call it? The pashmina? Is it? That's the name?
Pashmina.
The pashmina scarves, but it's similar. It just has a little bit more fabric to it. So I will usually just take mine.
Okay, so we have the
bring
ones
it to a
that
corner
are,
and then wrap it.
yeah, like I have done probably right now, and it's this wide. You know, it's really wide.
It is. They are wide.
So I'm assuming sarong is like from your waist down to your feet length, right? That makes it pretty big.
Yeah, you pretty much from your waist to your ankles at least.
Oh, waist to your ankles. I'm a short person, I assume. And then you double up the part of it, or is it the full length, or is it single when you wrap it?
Sometimes I will double it up depending, but most of the time I just wear it as long as it is. Yeah, the same length it is, and it comes down pretty far.
Yeah,
it
so
does.
It's literally like the like when we wear the Iranian chador, and that covers us on top. So if I've got something on like this, and then I'll put the chador on top, but it's also got a whole full length of area where it's all covered, so you're not, and any part of you is not kind of prominent in view of the opposite gender.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's that. But do you and Sister Jamila work side by side, live close by, live together? I'm trying to kind of figure it out in my head because I know you're very close.
So Sister Jamila and I rarely work side by side these days. We have lots of children between us. But Jamila doesn't live far. I would say that, what are you, about 7 miles away now?
Well, I don't know how many miles, but about 10 minutes.
Redford is about 10 minutes away. But we're usually doing phone or video conferences. And we meet quite frequently because we have a lot to meet about. So Friday is usually our meeting day about Islamic phonics readers and anything that we want to have a pre-meeting for Islamic spiritual awakening. But we also have to have meetings about what's going on locally. What are we planning for the families in the area that we're in? We try to keep activities flowing as best as we can here. Little limited now that COVID is going on. We used to really, get together and have some really good times. Lots of, praying together, eating together, having speeces.
We had picnics together as well.
Nice speakers coming to Jamila's house and enlightening our community. Alhamdulillah.
So which one were you always in? Is it Michigan or close by to Michigan, Sister Jamila?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Whereabouts have you always been located? Is that always been in Michigan? No, we just
I used to live in San
Diego. Okay. And you both
we've been in Michigan, I think 2 years now. Maybe this is
you've been here 2 years. I think I've been here 3 years. December it was 3. So originally Jamila and I are
I didn't catch what you said.
Yeah, have you recently moved from San Diego to Michigan?
Karema?
Yeah, something's going on with your connection.
Yeah, I've noticed the videos going on and off for some reason.
I don't know if you guys can hear me,
the case.
I can't hear anything right
now. Oh, okay. All right, let's see if we can get her back on. Yeah, there you are. There you are. You're back. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't think she can hear us.
Jamila, can you hear us?
Yeah, connection went out.
Yes, connections.
But, so to answer the question, we're both originally from Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
And I'm usually the one that kind of darts out, and alhamdulillah, my sister usually follows me. After I graduated from college, I moved from Buffalo to San Diego, with my uncle and his community. And actually, we were there for 25, about 25 years.
Okay. Has it been different for you when you moved into the Dearborn community?
Dearborn is very different from anything that any place that I've lived, but I'm pretty adaptable. So, there's a lot of different Arabs from the Arab diaspora here. We have Lebanese is the predominant. We have Iraqi. There's a lot of Yemenis. I'm sure there's some Palestinians. I've met a few, some Syrians, but predominantly it is Lebanese and Iraqi.
Okay. How is your integration with them? The Black Muslim community with the Arabs? Is it distant?
It is. I actually live across the street from a masjid. I don't know if you're familiar with Sayyid Qazwini. This is Sayyid Hassan Qazwini's masjid I live very close to. You know, people are, it's not a foreign interaction. We lived in San Diego, and even though there wasn't a highly concentrated area close to us of Arabs, they were predominantly in Lakeside area and Santee, which was way further east than where we lived. We did go to those masajid, you know, just, I don't want to say growing up, because when I got there, I was pretty much grown, but, you know, the duration of us being there, we interacted. And so it really was not that much difference. Maybe a little bit more civil, maybe. But, you know, you get a mixed response from people. You have some people that see you and they're shocked, like, oh wow, you know, and you follow the Aql Bayt, you're Black and you follow the Aql Bayt. How did that happen? You know, so you get the anything from the very friendly and curious to, you know, the ones that just kind of stare and look at you and really don't speak, or, you know, you may say salam and they just kind of look at you like, you know, what planet did you descend from?
Yeah.
You know,
well, we get some of that here in the UK as well, and it's not, I don't believe it's just with the Black Muslim community. The White Revert community, I think, faces quite a lot of that too. I myself, being of a Pakistani background, if I went to a particular to a mosque the first time round, be it Hoja Mosque, and that's one of my experiences, and I felt totally alienated there too. And I like to tell people that it's not just about the color sometimes. It's if you're not part of that community, sometimes that also makes you feel kind of alienated too. They will look at you and you'd think that, hello, I'm just, I'm still a Muslim regardless. Why am I being observed to be somebody totally different? And you'll be stared at and they'll look at you as if to say, we don't know you. But some of us have, some of us are open to talking with people and making friends like within 2 seconds. And then there'll be some where I know that they'll be sitting feeling isolated, or they would like somebody to actually come and greet them. And that's important too sometimes. And I don't think we will make that much amount of effort.
During the time that we were having our meetups, we actually did, we had some Arab families that came and participated in activities. We're not exclusively African American. We have Khoja family, we have a Pakistani family, we have a mixed white American and Iraqi family together. They're married, and so you know, there is diversity there, and what we try to create is something that people could feel comfortable with, like. It started off at my house with just sisters. Once Jamila got here, well, then the party really started rolling, because her house is way bigger than mine. So she was like, okay, we did the sister thing. Let's have all the family. Everybody comes. And my house wasn't big enough to accommodate. So
that's
Jamila,
beautiful.
You
that's
know,
absolutely beautiful.
She did it, and it was wonderful. Everybody really enjoyed it, and they're still telling us how much they miss coming together, and we wish we could keep doing it. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Sister Jamila, is so you've only just recently moved there a couple of years back. How have you found it with your children?
Well, my sister came here first. I think she came only about 9 months before me?
Yeah, I came in December, and you guys moved out like in June or July or something?
July. She came December and I came July the next year. And It was, you know, I missed San Diego. I was crying and boohooing. I missed my family and friends back there.
But you need to move everybody over back into your new home now. You need to invite them.
No, you know,
Come over.
it was difficult because I got pregnant with my last daughter. We got here July, and I was soon pregnant with my daughter Mecca, and it was just an emotional. I was an emotional wreck because
Oh,
I was,
bless you.
you know, dealing with the hormones of pregnancy and missing my dear friend Hasina and her family and everybody, just the city itself, you know. Like I never, you know, you hear about people kissing the ground and being very attached to the city. I've never been like that, but you know, it's just all new. You know, it's just different. And
yeah, it's an environment. It's a new. It takes time getting used to.
Right. It was difficult, but you know, alhamdulillah, Allah really blessed us with an awesome group of sisters. Like I was really worried because you know, sometimes we women we can be cliquish and not very sisterly towards each other. But Allah really blessed us to put together a really wonderful, awesome, supportive group of sisters whom I really love. And since then, I'm over all of my emotional issues, and now I got a West Coast family and an East Coast family. So, you know, alhamdulillah.
That's good, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I like it here. You know, the cold weather. I just, you know, I'm the kind of person I like to be happy. So I'm looking for ways to be happy. So it's not hot and it's not sunny San Diego, but the autumn here is absolutely gorgeous. The leaves, it's just mesmerizing. So during the autumn, me and my daughter, we go to all the gorgeous parks and take pictures and we collect leaves and relish in that. And now it's winter and me and the kids go sledding. I just came from sledding before this meeting. Me and my husband went and got some new sleds. We wanted to try out like some super long ones that you can put 6 people on. So, you know, I'm enjoying myself. I don't know. I no longer think that I'm going to be in one place forever. I used to think I would never leave San Diego, but now I realize you never know where Allah might take you. So
yeah, I'll place you. But alhamdulillah that you feel that, you know, you've been placed there. And I sometimes believe that even some of that movement is to do with how you not only just for yourself and your family, but how you take on board your Islamic teachings with you. And sometimes it might be more inspirational in those particular parts. But then we all have a duty, and it doesn't really mean that a duty has to be somebody living in one particular area. Your duty might take you somewhere else too.
That's true.
And we just need to accept that fact that, you know, our duty as parents as it is, or sisters or mothers, just like Lady Fatima Zahra Salaam Alaiha or Lady Zainab Salaam Alaiha, it wasn't just particularly inside the core or the center of their house. It was, you know, sometimes it was a center of their community, like Medina, for example. So, you know, we do have responsibilities, but it's how well we do with those responsibilities. That's also a test that Allah says, I'll move you from this place to that place.
15 minutes left.
Right. And we'll see how we and we see how we are from there. So you know, there is a lot of work that you sisters are doing, which really inspired me to asking you to come over on the program. What would you say to the viewers in respect of your partnership between you two?
You want to go first, Karema?
I'm sorry. One of my beautiful children came and talking to me right now, so I did not hear the question.
That's okay. We've had newscasters who've had children sitting in the background, and it's been main news. We don't mind children. My question was, what would you say to the viewers if they wanted to strike a partnership like yourself and with Sister Jamila? How is it viable? How is it possible?
Okay, let me make sure I'm understanding the question. If someone who's viewing us wanted to be in partnership with us?
In partnership with you, or have a partnership like that with somebody else, just to make sure that they're doing the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and see as their duty.
Okay, so one thing people I think need to realize is that your partner is not an extension of yourself. You're two different individuals. You will come together on the things that you have in common, and those will become stronger, inshallah. But at the same time, you have to respect one another's differences. You may not always agree. You may not always be on the same footing, on the same path even, but there's always some place that you can meet and work with what you have in common. The other thing is compromising. There may be certain things that this person being in this place and this person being in another place may not, it may not set well with you, but you have to realize that understand what are you willing to compromise in that situation, in that scenario. If you're working a partnership, you're not going to always get your way, and neither is the other person. So what is it that's most important to you, and where can you create compromise between one another? Having a partner is excellent, especially when you guys are both on point, because you also have within that, wrapped within that, an accountability partner. So you can always tell yourself, you know, oh, okay, I'm not going to do this today. I'm going back to bed, or yeah, I think I'm going to skip out on that, and you know, not do that. But if you have another person depending on you and waiting on you to come through with a particular task or whatever, you know, you're not going to be as likely to kind of slough things off. So I think that's the benefit of having a partnership. And I think that those are things that people need to understand, that when you come into a partnership, just like with anything, whether it's a marriage, business partner, organization partner, or team even, because we have teams. We're not always just working, just Jamila and I. When it comes to Islamic Spiritual Awakening, we're actually a team of 4. And so that's even more compromise, and you know, sometimes even more people that are not always on the same footing. So just understanding that what's more important, for you to have your way or for you to accomplish your goals. And when you realize that it's more important to accomplish your goals than to have your way, then you will be willing to compromise in certain things that you feel are not that important, and you'll see the benefit of working with other people.
That's great. Jamila, what would you say?
I would say it's very important to have a lot of patience with each other, because we're not perfect people. And sometimes we may say or do things that are not great or hurtful or whatever. So it's a checks and balance. I think it's important for you to be patient and also be forgiving, and also be careful, I guess, to try to treat people with love and respect as much as possible. But when you fall short of that, know how to just apologize and be humble. But the love is the foundation of it, you know, and really understanding that Shaitan does not want us to come together and do anything, and he is going to plant, you know, any little seed of dissension between you that he can. And if you're aware of that, you can almost see it physically, like you know what I mean? Like, you know what's happening, and you can kind of say, you know, I'm not even going to fall into that. Or if you do, you have that second, that moment, you deal with it and you move on. And, you know, I always say, you know, Islam, people talk about ride or die relationships. I think that's very Islamic. You know what I mean? It's like, we in this. You stuck with me. You stuck with me, Karema. I don't care. You got that kind of mentality. You know, you're not willing to throw in the towel. You know, because me and my sister, we are very opposite on a lot of things, night and day, on certain things. And
you've got the plus and minus moving along, though, haven't you?
I'm sorry, say it again.
You have the plus and minus moving along.
Right. And I think we because of that, we really we work well together. Like, you know what I mean? Like the yin and the yang, you know, where I might,
you're charged.
Right. Like I'll be like, let's do this big humongous thing. And Karema will be like, okay, that's not even logical. And I'll be like, you're right, okay. You know, like she kind of pulls me back to reality, you know what I mean? But sometimes I might be the one that need to push her, like, yeah, we really need to do this, and maybe, get energized, or vice versa. So I think it's important to play off each other's strengths, and, always be forgiving and patient, and just love each other. And like Karema said, the big picture is the success. Like, do we want to, because sometimes it is easier to be by yourself. Then you don't have to deal with, the other person's personality quirks or whatever it is they do that you can't stand or whatever. And Shaitan is right there whispering, man, you da, 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 da. But, you just got to push past that, and just, again, it's no perfect relationship. You're going to have arguments. Talk about it, kids make up, move on. That's the most important thing.
Well, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, you've actually, you've struck such a good relationship, mashallah, and you've kept moving. You're doing things for the community, and the wonderful thing I noticed about both of you is that you're extremely humble about the things that you do. And not a lot of us are very, who understand even the word humility means these days. But I wanted to highlight to our viewers, the wonderful relationship that you have, and the things that you are very productive in, and progressive in. And that was important to be highlighted, which is why I brought on the whole thing about the power of two, because sometimes the power of, there's so much more in a power of two than there is a power of one. Other than the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his authority, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. But that it's so important that sometimes, there is only one way to keep moving forward. But thank you so much for coming onto the program today, and no doubt it won't be your last one.
Thank you for having us.
Inshallah, we want to look at some of your books, and then we want to highlight those too eventually. And hopefully we can actually reach out to you, and anybody who's actually wanting to move on with their programs can move on. Learning about this partnership and how to move on with the business and do things for the community, can watch this program and learn about how to strike a wonderful relationship between two people who actually work for Islam and are actually doing God's work. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you so much for all the viewers that have watched Project Zainab Live today. And inshallah, we're looking forward to seeing you all next week. Don't forget tomorrow's Project Zainab Live with Sheikh Hamza Sodaqar discussing akhlaq in the Quran, which is extremely important because we overlook so many verses, or we interpret them in the wrong way and maybe come up with the completely different meanings. So inshallah, we have Sheikh Hamza Sodaqar tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday as usual. Project Zainab Live. Thank you so much.